a roller coaster, well, there's going to be certainly a lot of aggression and fun stuff happening from the side of KT Rolster. Obviously, DAMWON can get that going too, but with the Jace in the side lane with the Ryze as well, they could definitely split things up a little bit as well.
And the final pick of the Jace will have priority on the Aatrox, but one that he can potentially sustain through. Kali priority higher for KT than for me. No score does so often.
Very cool stuff. Let's jump into game one right now. See the KT fans still out here in force after a back and forth start, we can say, here in summer, whereas the DWG fans still looking to get things started. Not the best start here at 0-2, but I feel like the fun part about this matchup is that either team could really win coming in and prove a thing or two to all of us watching. So I'm just waiting to see who that team is going to be.
It's one of those things where bringing in Prey, you know, we talked about it so much in spring, the Prey to KT meme and consideration. As the sweeper star from score, we'll get actually a little ward kill here and might actually be relevant for the level 2 ping. Snowflower's walking up, doesn't know.
Snowflower doesn't know. He's going to turn it around here, though. Nice amount of damage from Prey, but Snowflower takes the majority of the damage coming in. He should be fine, though, on that Alistar. But
bringing in Prey was both the shot-calling AD carry and the upskill in bot lane that KT needed, but also insanely big for Brand. There's another nice trade comes on to Prey. Very active trading between Nuclear and Beryl. So that's why the fandom, I think, will never be denied. However KT does, people want to come in and see Prey. And while he's a legendary name, while almost all global fans will remember his contributions, his famous Ash arrows, etc., you have to also know this is a guy with hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers who has a really active stream. Just coming in and seeing Prey is enough to get people into LoL Park to watch KT.
Absolutely. I mean, they've had a pretty rough start, but at the same time, tons of fans just filling out the entire audience already. And I wouldn't say he's been the absolute main carry of when KT has won, but he's been doing quite well after coming back in, so that is definitely nice to see. Just taking a look at some of the runes here before we do hop straight into this one.
When you Prey, people will judge you if you play poorly in your first few games of why did you bother coming back, but the full kind of answer to that, whether it was a good or bad decision, is written later, right? It's written in history and in retrospect rather than week number 2. I think so far, like you say, he's been competitive, which already is a good start, and theoretically, he should only get better.
Yeah, so it'll be nice to see his kind of re-evolution, perhaps, is one way to put it. His return back.
His second return back, right?
Yeah. That's true.
If you weren't around in the 2014 OGN Champions days, he did actually announce his retirement halfway through 2014, then come back to qualify for the LCK's first split, spring, on then the GE Tigers. It's so hard to remember which damn name the Tigers were using, depending on the split. The no releash of the blue buff there, I feel like that's different than usual, but
Canyon's got a good leash on all the buffs on the Rift in this one.
Is it possible the Blue Gromp has been doing some kind of introspection recently and now become more patient?
You know, maybe for Canyon. I feel like, you know, you were talking about how it's not Canyon's typical kind of jungler to steal away, but the steal is real up against Score taking the Gragas, but he's made it work in an aggressive way anyway, which is really cool to see.
Not, of course, the most important buff for Score by any means. Doesn't need it, but it does mean a level 3 to 4 disadvantage. The more interesting point is coming later, as the consistent re-invades can happen. Akali actually really does like blue buff. She's kind of the Zed school of these energy champions in that she can spam her Q with basically no regard for cooldown, but a lot of regard for energy. So energy regen is important there. Score going for the tricky gank path. That's what Snowflower.
They have all their summoners, but they're trying to burst them down, and down will go Nuclear. An early gank here from Score. You talked about Score and Prey playing together. They make the play happen at first blow.
And that's the sort of salvo you want to sound after your blue buff was stolen in front of your face. Lovely combination there between Prey and Score. Never played a professional game together. Only time they've ever played on stage was, in fact, at All-Star 2015, both voted in for the Korean national team all those years ago. So now they are going to be regular allies, and we get to see good synergy between the duo lane and the jungler.
Yeah, props to Snowflower, too, really quick on the mechanics to make that all happen. Knocks Nuclear up and makes it so that even if he does get his flash up afterwards, he's still going to take an immense amount of damage. So good communication and just a good start here for KT.
Hands around. I believe he does spot eventually his top side. We know Noguri has priority, but that one's not going to force King out of lane.
Canyon still sticking around, is going to smite that one down cheekily, but now has to flash away. So kind of unfortunate. I don't think the 62 gold is going to be worth it.
Went from cheeky to red-faced very quickly,
Yeah.
actually, in that particular scenario. Noguri's quick teleport back to lane forces King in, who doesn't want to deal with Noguri getting a free full push. Going to get the replay here. Again, it is a very standard path for score, but not scouted. And if you draft Alistair and don't go bot lane, you get a very angry Papa Smithy talking about why did you bother doing this? And
Yeah.
I love KT putting a plan together. It's one thing drafting, it's another thing executing. When both things come together, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
And Prey is just so... He's like in a meditation state, but oh boy, Canyon, you don't have your flash. What are you doing trying to come down to the Scuttle Crab? See you later as Papa Smithy waves goodbye as he goes down. A bit of a mistake. He's going to get caught out easily there as BDD just rotates over and picks up the kill.
It feels like it's 2018 again, because in previous years, you could always count on Score to put one of those young ruffian junglers who sprout up in their place. Tarzan kind of evolved to be that person in spring season. This year, Score, re-energized coming back in, is giving Canyon a lesson on jungle pathing, and Canyon would do well to write down some damn notes.
Absolutely. It's definitely not the first time for him, but it'll be a pleasure perhaps to learn from Score here, as Canyon is returning actually to the mid lane just to clear out some warding and vision. We're going to have that Infernal Drake to start things off, so already a nice amount of action, maybe more than the fans were expecting out of the LCK nowadays, but I'm happy to see it happening here in Game 1.
And we just want to know, what do we expect from KT Rolster and DAMWON Gaming in 2019 summer? We still don't have that information, and KT obviously, with Prey coming in, the idea is not just that the 2v2 should be better, the shot calling also will get an increase there, as Kingan's already had an interview where he said just hearing Prey's voice in the comms is making things clearer for me. And you could tell that a lot more resources were being dumped into bot lane and defensive kind of reasons in spring season, that it just detracted from everywhere. BDD wasn't anymore a mid laner of repute. Top lane never got a start. Theoretically, KT are freed up to do more cool stuff in summer, and speaking of cool stuff, they're on this Inferno.
Yeah, they see Canyon up on the top side. Hexblast coming in here from Snowflower, trying to make it happen. They're going to knock up Canyon again, and see you later. We will have to wave goodbye one more time. Fate's call as they continue on and take down a second one. And now Barrel's in a ton of trouble here. Is going to try to re-engage, actually, as he's trying to make the trouble on the other side. But Infernal goes down as well as the 2 kills. KT even thinking about re-engaging here, but they will just take the win and back away.
And even with Noguri roaming down and flash from Showmaker, they actually don't connect the dredge line, don't get anything out of it. KT get everything, and their decisiveness is absolutely a pleasure to watch.
Oh, it's fantastic to see. You were just talking about Prey on the comms, and then he's like, okay, Snowflower, we're going in here. Probably Score had something to do with that as well. The 3 of them get started on the Infernal Drake. They make an amazing turn straight onto the Gragas, who still didn't have flash and is super squishy with that AP build, and it's a thing of beauty.
And the turn here is surprising, because actually Barrel and Nuclear are walking defensively, and you just assume KT like, oh, they're not coming, we'll take the Drake. No, they know how strong they are. They know that Canyon, if he's the furthest forward, is free food. He's a Gragas with no flash, still for a couple of minutes, and they take him down instantly. The dredge line and Showmaker flash, of course, needs that dredge line to hit. If it doesn't, it's going to be dodged away from, and because of that, we get this scenario where KT get everything. And again, I come to the point that people underrate what it means to have a bot lane that always loses, that communities all over saying KT bot lane, where's Prey, where's Prey? You know, cold calling this AD carry who had retired, you know? That is a lot for young players, coaching staff, etc. to work around, Valdez. And it's something that KT never escaped from the shadow of what their bot lane was in 2017, 2018. A symbol of strength. Deft and Martyr, laning gods. So having Prey and Snowflower is freeing them up to just have a lot of upticks everywhere. The 1v1 here, even Kingan's happy to keep brawling with Nagori pretty early in the game.
Yeah, you could see what he was doing even as the lane was crashing earlier on. He didn't even try to push. He was like trying to challenge in there. And now Showmaker, without a flash, is trying to do some damage here, but gets assassinated by BDD. And the train keeps rolling here for the side of KT, already up 2,500 gold.
Feels like a KT Rolster advertisement. This is like a KT Rolster VOD that you show to fans and say, how could you not support this team? Look at how dynamic and aggressive we are.
Yeah.
Score finds the flash, perfect engage, they turn on to the Rift Herald. Perfect game pace by KT.
And it looks like they're trying to keep that up here as they do go over to the Rift Heralds here at 11 minutes, looking to get even more. Little bit of a help, some leash there from Nuggery, very nice. Comes on over, and that's going to be the Rift Herald down here at 11:10. And decide which lane he wants to go in and try to push that gold lead to even higher.
So far, Kingan going CS for CS with the lane dominant Jace. Nice look there. Don't need to talk about the jungle matchup. You know who's winning that one. BDD being able to follow that up with plenty of kill involvements. The CS in the mid lane is advantage Rise, but that's the only meaningful kind of on-paper priority lane to CS lead that we're seeing in this game. And there's kills all across the Rift. Kingan's watching as all of his youngs, all of the older players here who, of course, had success on other rosters have popped off. So everything going perfectly for KT, both imminently and as the game goes on.
Especially early on in the game, obviously Rise is going to try to harass this Kali as much as possible, and we saw actually a lot of good trades that did go his way, but the extra kills and assists means that it's going to be BDD with the streak and with the gold lead in the mid lane. So got to be feeling good about that. Pretty much every lane is doing quite well, and already KT have come out here and made a statement in the early game.
Then when Gunblade comes in, as we know, Akali, a different animal, back now. Gunblade is done, so the timer has been hit, and it's often a weather the storm till this item comes in and everyone else gets their core done. This is win and then get that core in, and now KT can kind of have their cake and eat it too. Blog about it. They're in a really good spot here to just unleash their power on the Rift, and DAMWON actually just kind of want to pull away and catch up in terms of some of their effective items, because we got to the point where KT is going to start looking menacing. It's early, and it's just on KT to smash and grab whatever they want.
Still waiting on Score to use that Rift Herald. We haven't seen him go for that just yet, but now he's pathing up to the top side and wants to steal out the red, actually. Canyon waiting here in the mid lane, so won't be in position to go for that. We see a lot of go pings up in the top side, too, maybe thinking about red into a dive up in the top side. Let's wait and see, as Score and BDD are now rotating on up to the top here, but not much of a wave outside of that canyon, so, or the cannon rather. So maybe just the Rift Herald to come in and get King in a couple of plates.
It definitely makes sense to give the champion that can overwhelm team fights later the gold at this point in a tough laning phase. Diving the Jace is actually a lot harder than it used to be because you can't tank with the Aatrox freely like you did it before.
Yeah.
So a lot more required there. They back away. Prey and Snowfall playing weak side for now. I imagine Prey has the gold for his Way of the Ruined King, but just hasn't been able to back for a while. Seeing the bot lane Drake being taken means that KT look for a dive, and at minimum, they should be able to zone away number.
Yeah, I agree with the good read here. Not sure exactly how he was able to get it, but with that play, they don't even have to get the kill. They just come in and get a nice amount of extra damage, the extra charge with the Rift Herald, and now that top tier 2, which is kind of a luxury, but it gets a little bit lower, and you have an opportunity to continue that push a little bit easier the next time around. You can see the plates for the side of KT, all 5 in the top lane, but some plates going the way of DAMWON actually in mid and bot.
Kozov scores great jungle pathing. We have a game that is very different to how a lot of games flow in kind of 2019 standard meta, because what we almost always see, Valdez, and we'll see it multiple times today, is a strong side of the map for one team, and then on the other side of the map, that's where the enemy team gets their advantages. We can't split the map like that in this game. Yes, DAMWON Gaming stopped a perfect game by taking an Ocean Drake, but it got more objectives topside for KT Rolster overall. And when you pop off like they have, and in the kind of weak lane, which was the top lane, you're going CS for CS, KT get to have their cake and eat it too. And because of that, we're now in this scenario where DAMWON have nothing to show for their first 15 minutes apart from, well, the game isn't over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a concern because now, if they botch an execution from here, the chances of just an unassailable lead for KT rather than a significant one are becoming higher.
It certainly does feel that way. I'm just looking forward to KT that have drafted this super go comp with all 5 of them, basically, including the AD carry, from ahead, trying to force these team fights and just how one-sided it can be. It was the first time we've seen Alistar come in, but I'm excited to actually see Alistar and Aatrox go in together and all the knockups and synergy that you can have there. It's going to be a thing of beauty if they can actually set up that 5v5.
It's hard to draft Alistar in the current meta. There's few matchups that work for him. If you try to take it early, you get a Lux or Yuumi and your life sucks. Even in the Tahm Kench can be an answer. There's so many different answers that it required a draft like this where bot lane was taken second round after a lot of picks already locked in and there were support bans from both sides to really allow Alistar to kind of poke his head back out. But it's always kind of a welcome sight because he's a flashy champion.
Yeah.
Laning phase level 1 obviously is not big, but the moment Alistar's kit comes together, especially with a Kalista to either help him or give him a get-out-of-jail-free card, engage is flashy. So it's nice to see the return of the cow, even if we shouldn't get used to it.
He just has that kind of kit that as long as his numbers aren't totally awful, he's going to be around every once in a while. As now in the jungle here, Score, he's looking to really teach a lesson here to Canyon, but he gets him low, the stop buttons there. But BDD trying to help him out, but the extra kill goes his way, and fights on both sides now as Nuclear's going to go down. Ingen trying to go 1v3 over here on the left side, but it's not going to get the reset. 2 for 2 so far as Showmaker leads the charge, but here's Snowflower. Snowflower putting on a show even, as it doesn't look like it's actually going to go KT's way. DAMWON able to take down 1 and the cow on the backside to get an extra 2 on top of it all.
All right, there's KT crashing down to earth a little bit, over pursuing and not going as a team, not backing up. The top side there means that Score dies early, and then it's kind of the dominoes, one by one, entering the fight late. BDD couldn't fight with the Kalista in this fight because the ult was already down, and they weren't actually able to turn around a fight that looked like Kalista being primed to turn around and finish off those lower health members on the re-engage. The re-engage decision was off. The aggressiveness that Score opened it with couldn't be matched by his duo lane. So definitely some mistakes on execution from KT. It's not a flawless tight ship just yet.
Definitely felt like they were really looking to press that go button again. A Score gets, you know, the good start here on Canyon at least.
But the moment that we're using BD's first charge of ult to get over the wall, try to finish off kills, and Prey and Snowflower aren't responding, things are very disconnected. And if you notice, Snowflower, Prey, BDD going over walls to try to kill the Sivir, while Kingham just ints in the backline, goes in like his old Aatrox and not playing to the new kid at all. That's a disconnect between members after the disconnect between the duo invading on the top side, and enough of those disconnects and DAMWON Gaming will just kill you where you stand.
Bella doing a great job to proc that stopwatch as well at the exact right time, but the mistake had already been made here. As now this gives DAMWON a chance to come back in the game just with 1 play. They're only down about 1,500 gold. Still the lead here to KT, but definitely a small crack in the door has been opened.
Drake will be taken by KT, so matching Ocean, not obviously the biggest significant objective to discuss here, but at least good news for DAMWON. Now that the game is evened up a bit more, they have time to throw Showmaker into top side, take an unanswered turret. So these are the trades of objectives that weren't guaranteed. If you don't botch your execution from ahead, like KT had, when your item spikes are there as well, you have to botch for DAMWON to actually be able to trade objectives. It should have just been KT getting everything. Now, they were able to build up that sort of a spot from a strong early game, so now it just means it kind of goes back to kind of 55-45 normalcy. That still does favor KT, but Canyon is kind of the one that's bailed out the most because his poor start might have just been the real reason they were not competitive in this first game against KT. There's now the chance with just 1,000 gold between the teams that the right cask could be the re-entrance of DAMWON Gaming into game number 1.
Though even though there are some glimpses of greatness and the fantastic start that KT had, we always talk about the most important thing, thing for a winning team is consistency, right? You need to come out here every day and be good at all steps in the game. You can't be Jin Air where you get all the first bloods, but then you fall apart in the mid-lane game because your macros not quite up to par. So KT gonna have to change something up. We'll see how they do here as the game is going to crest above that 20-minute mark.
Talk about how Nuguri is not obeying the recent meta trend on Jace. No mana mute on the Jace in this game's double lethality. Very Nuguri approach to the game. It's the most immediate power. It means his siege is going to be overwhelming if he does group with the team. And he's just good at killing. There's not going to be a lot of armor on Kingen outside of the Ninja Tabis in the early game. It's going to take the GA timing, you'd think, for the first Chain Vest to come in. So because of that, Nuguri definitely does plenty of damage if he's present, and pushing in and roaming to be there first is something that Jace should be very adept at doing.
Lots of go pings here for DAMWON Gaming. Barrel's been leading the charge in the bot lane, but now as 5 is going to be leading the charge in the mid lane as they're looking to take down a turret, but TP will be forced here by BDD. Snowflower was looking for that engage on the left side, but it's read very well here by DAMWON. We're going to back after a nice chunk of damage on the mid lane turret.
Good set piece play from DAMWON. They had the control on the side. First push, as we mentioned, and you want to siege with blue buff, double lethality Jace. EQ went wide the first time. They should now know that Kingen's close. The poke lands on BDD.
Here we go. Barrel's going to start it up again. A cask actually creates so much space here, but it's only Snowflower in the middle to take any damage. So DAMWON saying, no, that's not who we wanted. The dredge line is also going to fall short of Kingen. So a nice try at an engage there by DAMWON, but they're not having beef tonight.
And we're starting to see where this KT lineup feels a bit less veteran status, where they're trying to trip up, because these team fights, to be clear, once it gets out of kind of skirmishing, where obviously Rek'Sai has a huge advantage, it needs to be Kingen and Snowflower. They are the engaged duo where Snowflower starts and distracts while Kingen tries to get that first kill and everyone piles in. But so far, Kingen and Snowflower have been on opposite wavelengths, so we're seeing defensive Fate's Call, or the ult wasted by Snowflower before Kingen manages to achieve anything. So, speaking of skirmish though.
Score trying to make this one happen again. Goes in for the ult as Barrel is trying to save him. And he's actually going to get away. That's a fast Jace to run away, but Barrel is going to have to pay the price to save his life.
Nice escape by Nuguri, but still the first kill. Much more of a skirmish than a team fight, so Score able to shoulder the load that he's not able to in those 5v5s. KT can push down, they can take an objective. DAMWON take a loss, but only a small L. We're definitely not capitalized this time. It doesn't actually seesaw a Baron to the side of KT Rolster.
Yeah, just the bottom turret here, as now they're looking for a little bit more in the mid lane. A lot of defense pings by the side of DAMWON to try to get on over here. So, yeah, just the kill in the turret, but they do open that lead up to at least 2,000 and get some more items here. You can see a lot of control wards being bought up by the side of KT, as maybe they'll prepare for some of these objectives. The mountain coming up in 20 seconds, and it looks like both teams want to make a move towards that.
Can Nuguri be the inflection point on this game? Big CS number, going for a full damage build, should always have at least priority, maybe not kill pressure, onto Kingen. He's going to try and, be that side lane raid boss that he is on the team for. But KT, they group up here. Again, pushing in the mid lane against the Sivir is going to be tricky, but the right engage will cut through. DAMWON Gaming, it's the right part that they're still working on for KT.
Yeah. Both the teams, struggling to really get that big engage that opens up the door to this game wide open. Just the crack in it so far, as now DAMWON posturing over on the right side, but Good spread out positioning from KT, not giving anything up just yet. As now they're actually bunching up here in the bush, kind of stuck, but they're looking to turn it around. This barrel's going to be burst down immediately. No real way for the entire team of DAMWON to get in there and actually help him out.
Sport's actually tete-a-tete, but Snowflower's got an oak button, he's got the ultimate, he's even got the Fate's Call, so Barrel just kind of dies in the front line there. But curious, the side of DAMWON, that's going to be a free Mountain Drake. Doesn't have to mean a Baron, though. And speaking of Baron, DAMWON Gaming can at least prep around that area. Starting it, that'd be a little bit bold.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe if they were able to pick up a Mountain Drake instead of the Ocean Drake, but even then, would have been hard, as now KT, after their bit of a mid-game oopsie, have been able to get a couple of nice things under their belt afterwards.
But we just can't give them the benefit of the doubt yet. They still have to earn it. So even though KT, when we talk about where we said they would be strong, they're definitely still in that window. Even though they had a really good early game, you know they could lose this game. DWG Gaming could still win game number 1 because KT have no kind of benefit of the doubt on locking out games from ahead. So because of that, it still feels like there's nervous energy on both sides because no one right now is kind of thinking about game number 2 just yet.
Everybody looking like they're still getting comfortable here on the Rift in game number 1. So both of them still looking for that one big play, as now KT's going to group up as a team and try to clear out some of the vision. I like a lot of their team play in this game so far. It looks like it's very coordinated outside of that one team fight, of course, but we'll see if they can continue with some of the good stuff. As here comes Kingin, just trying to 1v1 on top of Nuguri, draws out the teleport already from the side of Showmaker, who wants to go in with that Realm Warp. Kingin and try to make a move over the wall, but here comes Beryl up from the top side, or Aatrox with a nice dodge here, but you can't dodge that one, as he is going to be burst down by the 3 of them.
A lot of resources used because teleport is down, but they get a kill that makes it all work. Mistake by Nuguri actually ends up being the reason that his opponent goes down. Misplayed the all-in from King in the lane trade pretty severely. Didn't go down the solo kill, but you definitely saw a slight difference, and a solo kill could have happened. But it's lapped up at the cost of Showmaker's teleport. So let's wait and see if DWG Gaming can actually continue to play around this, or whether KT can use what will be double TP advantage very shortly.
We'll see how they do here, as now Prey and Snowflower trying to make a move in. And you were talking about all those no buttons for Alistar. Every single time DWG see him, they're like, well, nah, we'd rather not. We have all this engaged in our lineup with the Nautilus and the Gragas, all that stuff, even a Flash Rise, but there's no point in doing that to the Alistar, who so far has been in a good position towards the front.
Our Splash just off cooldown. Hex Splash turns into the regular Flash as we mention it. KT want to make this game around a Baron. It's Baron turn. Speaking of turns,
it is. The ult comes in, but where's the damage from KT? As DWG are still all full health bars until Beryl goes down. But you can see that bouncing damage now. Look at all the health bars for KT. They're so low. And here comes DWG trying to turn it around. Looks like they'll just get Kingin on the backside, as everybody else was able to escape.
KT had to invest so much of their health bars to get that primary kill on Aatrox that for one of the few times Aatrox getting access to his blood well wasn't relevant. Prey was on about 10 HP the moment that first kill came in for the Aatrox, and Snowflower was chunked out heavily for the turn. So while the turn looked decisive, again, the damage behind the CC wasn't there. Watch the replay here. As Snowflower, it's a very nice bait, right? He takes damage and then re-engages. But where's the damage on this? Prey's not hitting anyone at the start. BD's not there. And Kingin isn't actually sweeping on 3 members in the backline. He's actually late to this fight as well. So the Alistar engage and CC of the frontline was disconnected from the damage dealers.
Yeah, not much damage coming through, as we were talking about. I was looking at the backline and just how KT took so much damage. It was a myriad of things. It was Jace jumping in, doing the burst to Prey, then the cast came out, and then the ricochet and the bouncing from the Sivir, including her Q. So just a lot of miscellaneous stuff being thrown out there, and chunking out the majority of that KT team means that, as I was saying before, DWG do have a nice amount of disengage, and ways to try to kite them out.
Because it's hard team fight Kalista, right? It's so much lifesteal already done. Of course, AoE bolts also apply lifesteal and a lot of flat lifesteal. I think it's like either 32% or 30% lifesteal, and then the Hurricane to make it effectively more. It's team fight frontline Kalista, but she had no access to the enemy team. Speaking of the enemy team,
okay, I guess we're just going for it as they do bait out a flash there from the side of Prey. He's not wasting any time, and now KT a little bit separated, but they're trying to burst down Nuclear, and they're going to be able to do it as Score is going to get into the backline and get that a very important kill. And now KT continuing to try to go along here, even without BDD, who distracted the Jays. They are able to pick up 3 kills on the back of that fight.
Score lying in wait, allow them to get the fight, which ended with Prey free autoing. It ends with that. You know it ends with a KT victory. They should go and turn on Baron. They have a lot of Baron secure here. Smite and Rend available.
You can see that DAMWON know about it as well. They see the TP there on the ward of their own, but now they're just trying to get this consolation prize of the cow on the backside. We'll see if they can actually do it. Looks like they should be able to. Snowflower, no summoners, no anything, but the cow for the Baron, that's not a trade I'd take. Unless I were on the side of KT, of course.
Korean teams only get beef barbecue when they win. A lot more rare in Korea than the pork variant. So, DAMWON Gaming kind of understanding this game one is slipping away from them. Just want to get some cow where they can. So they take down the Alistair. Baron is done. KT now they have a lot of threat behind them. BDD disconnected from the Kalista. They're going to be fine.
Should be just fine as now KT. They really did not want to give up that Mountain Drake. They already had one for the first Baron. How about a second one for the next one? And for their push with the Baron, KT now not the best start in the mid-game, but able to turn things around with this fight.
And it's because Score actually had a lot more agency this time. He was already in position on a champion that can find it very difficult to gap close. Prey's not there this time, but the first kill is just Score mostly brawling with the front line, and then Prey can frontline. At this point, both teams actually want to play, especially the AD carries, in very close quarters because it's Hurricane and then just Sivir who fights with the tank line anyway. Only Jace is trying to buy space. Everybody else wants to hard engage, and, well, the timing there, a lot more on point, the side of KT. They've got the Baron now. Their siege is certainly pretty abysmal when you talk about the actual champions. When they roll up to a turret, they're much more about turret dive than turret siege with only Akali. So it's Kalista for a ranged champion. Yeah. They can play multiple lanes, but they're not choosing to play top lane with the minion wave so far out. So they're going to try to walk up here. No reason for DAMWON to back away.
Yeah, they just come up. They have Sivir, which is one of the best champions for clearing out waves, especially against Baron. You just throw out a bunch of your stuff, a couple of autos.
But look at this minion wave. Because it's being sped up by Kingen, the resulting mid lane minion wave isn't there. So actually Sivir can just walk between waves at the moment, which is not what you want. KT finally have Prey start to bring up the minion wave, but it's too easy. It's one wave by one.
Yeah, this is why we talk about timing when we go for Baron pushes, especially up against a team that has so much wave clear. And this is a perfect example of maybe what not to do, as now we're going to rotate down towards the bottom lane. Kingen has been able to push this one in a little bit faster, and Prey is going to get there first. So a bit of damage does come out here, thinking about getting into that back line if DAMWON did stay, but they do pick up that turret finally.
A lot of coaches would definitely go back and VOD review this afterwards and talk about, okay, you guys can see this lane state. Either you send someone to the mid lane wave, recall, and just bring up a wave faster, because of course the Baron minions walk faster, or you look at it and say, even that's not going to work. Let's play 3 lanes to start and then make it about 2 of them. But the disconnect there wasted a lot of Baron time. They definitely won't be breaking base on this first Baron.
Hey, think about what they've taken on the Baron. I think it was the one mid-tier turret, or the tier 1 turret, and the bottom tier 2. They are trying to make something of their last amount.
Here we go.
But here's the engage, looking for Nuclear again. He is going to be able to flash, but BDD is going to assassinate him in the back line. And that is what they wanted all this time. They're going to get the 2. And how about 3 more for the bonus, as Showmaker as well is just barely going to get away with his tail between his legs as KT make the engage happen and should be able to win this game.
You've always got the option to brute force with GAs and this much wombo engage. Noguri tries to slide away. He doesn't want to ruin his KDA.
I guess we're going on a safari here. Just trying to hunt down the Jace, and now they're going to go for the push. They run out of the Baron, but the dead timer's not super long at this moment. We'll see if they just take the inhibitors and back away.
Pretty sure KT could have taken at least Nexus turrets, but chasing for kills means it might just have to be double inhibitor. Game timer going to go longer. Post 35-minute victories after an early game like this, nothing to really hang your hat on for KT.
Definitely an interesting moment there where it definitely would have been close if they had just let the Jace go and recall and then be there to try to help push against non-Baron minions when they're trying to push this down one lane to end. Maybe this is just the safer play that you would have wanted to go for all along, but let's take another look at the replay here.
Full all-in from the Alistar, who has ult and also Kalista ult to potentially disengage. Prey can't get into the fight at the start because he's hit by the death charge. If you watch Prey's health bar, it's so amusing because he falls so low, but then has so much lifesteal. He's pinging up and down, hundreds of HP. He got that blood well so he could get into the backline. It was always going to be a KT win, but this is where, after this moment, they could have adjusted and gone back to the minion wave. They didn't. And the cost is Nexus turrets, maybe not the game end.
Even Prey from the mid lane is like, I'm not going to auto down any of the buildings. I'm going to walk all the way down and spend all this time trying to kill the Jace.
It looks like a team that hasn't done much winning this year. Winning and then trying to kind of internalize what that means. And getting KDA up and all these things when it's connected to smart pushes around waves is fine. But in games like this, it means the clock will continue to drag. The 36 minutes here, with how the game started for KT, is a cause for concern if you want to start ranking them up the top. But I think KT just want to win games. They're not concerned about how pretty it is. They're not concerned about where they are in the power rankings. They just want to win games of League of Legends, and they still are on the precipice of that, at least for game number 1.
Well, we are going to start up the Baron here with that Kalista. It's going to take a miracle for DAMWON to get on in here and try to steal this one away, as there you go, the smite comes in and Snowflower trying to get in the backside is going to get the two-man knock-up here. Depth charge there on a score, but the rest of the damage coming in as another big knock-up comes in from Snowflower. And now we got an Aatrox on the loose, thinking about getting in there. But a good spread from the side of DAMWON as they're just trying to stay alive, but it's interrupted as Showmaker is not going to get out. BDD with another good interrupt there, as now Nuclear's going to go down. The rest of DAMWON should follow. Super Minion's already pushing in the main base as the TP's going to come out. Nuclear is going to be the last one to die, and KT are going to push in for the victory.
Just desserts go the way of KT. Their good early work allows them to close it out. 37.5 minutes for game number 1. KT Rolster, they play with their food a bit. They didn't get it all perfect, but they get the perfect answer for their fans. They get a victory in game number 1.